Have you ever thought about a moment where your career and your personal life just collide? That's what we're diving into today. It's the story of a founder, her really unique company, and a huge life-changing choice she was forced to make.
It's this classic, really tough question, isn't it? Do you go all in on growing your business, or do you focus on growing your family? For our founder, Erica Mills, this wasn't just some thought experiment. It was the single biggest dilemma of her entire career. I mean, can you actually do both at the same time, or does one dream inevitably have to wait?
Okay, so let's set this scene. It's December 2008. Erica and her husband, Craig, they've made a big decision. They want to start a family. And soon, like within the next year. But here's the thing. Her greeting card company, Warm Fuzz Cards, is also right at this massive tipping point. Everything, her life, her business, it's all about to get tested.
So let's get into her big decision. And really, this wasn't just about spreadsheets and business plans. No, this was way, way more personal than that.
And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head. Think about it. The way she was running her company was super hands-on. She was involved in every single detail. And hey, it was working, but only on a small scale. She knew, deep down, there was no way, absolutely no way that model could work if she was also going to be a new mom.
So to really get why this was such a tough spot for her, we got to go back a bit. Let's look at how she even got to this point. Because Erica's journey, well, it was anything but a straight line from A to B. What's so cool about her story is that she's always had this mix of being an artist and an entrepreneur. I mean, she was an artist as a kid, then she learns the ropes in the tough world of medical sales. All these different pieces of her life just kind of came together in 2004. She was living in Russia at the time, couldn't get a work permit, so what does she do? She pours all that energy into creating the idea for Warm Fuzz Cards. Pretty amazing.
All right, so what was this business? What was Warm Fuzz Cards all about, and what made it so special that she'd pour her entire heart into it? Let's dive in.
Okay, this right here, this is the core philosophy, and it's just brilliant. Think about it. All the giant card companies, they're all about birthdays, Christmas, anniversaries, the big stuff. Erica, she saw a gap. She created a whole business around the just because moments. Her cards weren't for an occasion. Sending the card was the occasion. That's a game changer.
And you can see it in the designs, right? They're simple, they feel super personal, almost spontaneous. The whole brand was literally about spreading warm fuzzies, and that authentic, hand-drawn vibe, that was a massive, massive part of why people loved them.
Yeah, her style is just so unique. It's quirky, it's modern, and it feels really heartfelt. These are not your typical generic thinking of you cards you grab at the supermarket. Each one feels like a little piece of art, you know? Something meant to make a real connection.
Okay, now let's talk business model, because this is where things start to get really complicated. Her income was basically split 50-50, right down the middle between two totally different things.
And this is the real tension in her business. On one side, you've got the retail business. It's steady income, selling to about 150 small shops. Consistent, but lower margin. But then, you have the custom work. Things like wedding invitations, big corporate orders. That's where she was making the big money, the high profit stuff. So what's the catch? Well, that custom work took up a ton of her time. Every single project needed her personal touch.
All right, so let's zoom out for a second. We need to remember that Warm Fuzz wasn't just operating in its own little bubble. It was a tiny, tiny fish in a gigantic ocean.
And when I say gigantic, I mean it. Just the US market in 2008 was worth $7.5 billion. It's a massive, established industry with some seriously powerful players.
And entrenched is putting it mildly. Get this, just two companies, Hallmark and American Greetings, they controlled a mind-blowing 85% of the entire market. 85%. So everyone else, including little Warm Fuzz Cards, was just fighting for scraps from the remaining 15%. I mean, talk about a David versus Goliath situation.
But here's the thing. Even with that insane competition, the pie was still huge. The habit of buying cards was just so ingrained in the culture. 9 out of 10 households were buying them, and women were the primary customers, buying about 80% of all cards. So there was definitely a market to tap into.
Okay, so all of this brings us right back to where we started. Back to Erica, at her kitchen table in December 2008. She's got this huge market, a product people love, and this major life decision staring her right in the face. She had to pick a path.
So you have two very different paths. Path number one is slow growth.
She keeps doing what she's doing, bootstrapping, maintaining total control and flexibility, which she loved. The big risk? She was worried that even that slow pace would be too much with a new baby. Path number 2 is fast growth. This is what her husband was pushing for. Seize the big opportunities that are knocking on the door. The risk here? It means finding money, hiring people, and, the scariest part for her, giving up some of that control.
And fast growth wasn't just some abstract concept. It meant making real, tangible decisions. Like, do I hire an accountant? What about a salesperson to get into more stores? Or maybe a freelance designer so I can focus on sales? And then there was the biggest question of all. Do I take a huge gamble and invest in a ton of inventory to try and land a deal with a big national chain?
So, what would you do? When you see all of this laid out, you can really feel the weight of this decision.
And this wasn't just some what-if scenario. This was real. Through a family connection, Erica had a legitimate shot at getting her cards into a national retail chain with over 200 stores. Think about that. This was the kind of thing that could change her business literally overnight. But it would mean a huge upfront investment and completely changing how she did everything.
You can just feel the pressure building, right? And this quote really says it all. The clock was ticking. She had to make a decision, and soon. Not just for the company's sake, but so she and Craig could actually get on with their lives. The two things were completely tied together.
So now it's on you. What's the right call here? Do you take that massive leap of faith? Do you invest the money, chase that national chain, and accept all the stress that comes with it, especially while you're trying to start a family? Or do you play it safe? Keep the business small, keep it manageable, but maybe risk missing out on your one big shot. Put yourself in her shoes. If you were Erica, what would you do?